to In Conversation with Hemali. I hope you all have had a great weekend and are ready to kind of go ahead with the week that is coming by. This morning, I came across a quote by Steve Marcole, who has published several best-selling books, and the quote went something like this: "There is a difference between talented people and gifted people. Talented people are good at something, and gifted people are that something." Our guest today is a combination of both talents and being gifted as well. Prionka Ray is a writer, consultant, concept creator, a mentor, mediator for teens and families. She writes for various publications and handles communication and media projects. She also conceptualizes and creates programs and conducts workshops on well-being, self-development, creative problem solving, and much more. Prionka is a registered volunteer, mentor for teens and families at the Ministry of Social and Family Development, and she also volunteers for many more organizations. Prionka's qualifications are in the field of hospitality, advertising, and public relations, positive psychology, psychotherapy, and she's also trained in speech arts communication, creative problem solving, and speech and drama. She writes for various publications and has authored the novel Sia in 2012. And last year, it has gone into its second edition. Welcome, Prionka, on In Conversation with Hemali. It is an absolute pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Hemali.
Prionka, it would be nice if you can share a little bit more about yourself with us.
You've said quite a lot. So if I have to add to that, maybe I'll add that my name has one O in it, and I absolutely adore that. I have two daughters who are both adults now. And I have, I'm doing psychotherapy currently, which means I can have therapy sessions with both teens as well as adults.
All right. Indeed, the Prionka is not Prionka, it's Prionka, and the O definitely makes a difference in the name. Well, Prionka, I noticed that you got a degree in advertising and public relations, and then in hospitality as well, which is far from what you're doing at present. So what was the reason behind this transition?
So I'm not doing something which is very far away from that, because I'm still doing writing, I'm still taking writing assignments, and I'm still doing communication projects. But yes, there has been a transition, and so how it happened was like it just fell into place in a way. I had gone into speech communication arts and speech and drama when my kids were young, thinking that it will give me flexibility and allow me more time with them. But while I was doing that, and I went into teaching, I realized that the drama as a tool and storytelling as a tool can be a fabulous way of getting people to open up about things that are buried inside, and you will be able to relate to that since you are yourself in speech and drama. So when I realized that, I thought that this could be used in places where it's probably needed a lot more. So I started reaching to organizations, and I ended in Ministry of Social and Family Development. So that took me a long time to, get in, and then for them to train me, and they started assigning me youth at risk and vulnerable families. But Hemali, once I went in, I realized that I was too naive into thinking that, how we feel that we're going to go and we're going to help people, and then their life's going to change, and we have this knight in shining armor. But there's so much that I didn't know, and I wanted to learn more. Another incident that happened that time was that I was quite ill for a while, and I was immobile, and that I had a long time to introspect, and I thought that whatever I wanted to do, I should not wait too long. I should just go ahead and do whatever I needed to do. So I went back to university. I went to do psychology, and then so I'm doing psychotherapy now. But having said that, I'm using everything that I have learned. And it's quite exciting to take something you've learned from one area and mishmash into another. This kind of mixing gives it a very rich quality, and I think knowledge should not have boundaries. So I'm actually using everything that I've ever learned, and it's very exciting.
Wonderful. So, my viewers, there's something to note here where she says that knowledge has no boundaries. So keep going, don't stop. And the other thing which Priyanka just mentioned was, don't delay. Do what you have to do now. Don't wait for someday to come by and help you to step there into that place. Just do it now. Thank you. And Priyanka, can you explain, what you do as part of being a concept creator?
So, Himali, everything has a concept, like everything begins with an idea. So, what you are doing is also a concept. So, what I do is I create these concepts and ideas, maybe for a conference, maybe for a workshop or a program. Some of these ideas begin with absolutely new idea which I have created, or sometimes it's a client who has end goal in mind, or they have some basic concept or idea, and then I help them design and program this so that they can reach the end goal that they're looking at.
Okay, so you basically stylize, bring the whole concept into style, and correct me if I'm wrong, but from what you say, I understand that a concept creator brings in something new or original into being. So companies that hire you would give you a gist of what they want, and you bring in the creative angle to make it interesting for the end users. Is that right?
Yeah, it is something like that. And basically, I flesh that whole thing out, because a concept or an idea, just, in thought, is very intangible. So to make it into a tangible product at the end, you need to flesh it out as well. So yes, it is the idea coming, something new that can come out. It doesn't have to be an absolutely new thing altogether. It can be a new way of seeing things, and then to flesh it out so that it becomes a tangible product. Or something that can be executed at the end.
So demands for a lot of creativity for sure. I noticed that you have done your psychology and counseling, and you mentor teens on issues like bullying and many other things. You basically help them come out of their shells and face the world with a head held high. How challenging is it to organize these workshops?
So I mentor a lot of teens, and I do some adults as well. But if we are talking about teens, the biggest challenge is when the teens are told by their parents that you should attend something, or they want the teens to go and do something, the teens don't want to. So if the parents have said, they have this resistance, which is the biggest challenge to get them to come. So anytime that someone goes and tells them you must, so that must word, a force that comes with it, is something that they resist a lot. So that's the biggest challenge, to get them to basically agree and come to anything that's organized in this way. And so any interaction with the teen, I do a lot of one-to-one mentoring, whether it's physically or on Skype or Zoom or whatever it is, from different places. So the first few minutes of interaction become very important, because they are very smart, the teens, and they gauge you. They see whether this person can be trusted, whether there's a value add, whether I'm getting something out of it. So the first few minutes, they are like just looking and seeing whether they would want to be there. But after the first few minutes, then that they're okay. But this is the challenge, to hold their attention for the first few minutes.
Right. Wow. I know, because teens are not easy that way, because they want to know really what they're going in for, and definitely it's understandable, because they are in that growing stage for them to figure out what is good.
But Himali, I think the teens these days are somehow much better than probably our generation, because they're so much more knowledgeable. They are so smart, they know so much, and they're also very woke, as in their ideas for a better world are really creditable. And once you get to know them and you hear their ideas, they're fabulous. So I really enjoy my interactions, and I hear a lot of these things like teens are very problematic, and how to manage them. That gives an impression as if there's a lot of problem. It is not. They are quite fabulous people, and if you hear their ideas and if you take them seriously, there's so much to learn from that as well. It's just that initial hesitation is there, and it is a challenge to get them to pay attention to you. So that is the initial challenge. Apart from that, they are just simply lovely people to work with.
I totally agree with you there, But I was reading, I'm very fond of reading, and I came across this book, which was Alone Together by Sherry Turkle. which was about how online, we fall prey to the illusion of companionship, gathering thousands of Twitter and Facebook friends, and confusing those tweets and wall posts with authentic communication. But this relentless connection leads to a deep solitude. Do you also feel that social media could be a reason for the lack of self-development or bullying and the well-being, since you teach, on these subjects, on these topics?
Yeah, I do agree that a lot of, like, even if you see bullying and a lot of it is online, and not just for the teens, even
Mm-hmm.
for adults,
Sure.
there's a lot of kind of bullying that happens online, and there is a disconnect that comes through social media. However, I just need to point it out, social
Mhm.
media in general is not bad.
Right.
So if you are just mindlessly scrolling, and those are the passive scrolling, if you are doing, where you're just looking at what people are posting, and usually
Right.
people post their best things on social media, so
Of course.
you end up either judging them or comparing yourself, both of which can be very unhealthy for you, and it
Right.
can give rise to a lot of disconnect and emptiness inside, and anxiety and depression. However, if you use social media to just connect with like-minded people,
Mm-hmm.
or to just know about people that you care about, but they're far off. So when you meet them, there's a point of conversation based on what you have seen. Or
Right.
sometimes great collaborations can come, and you won't believe, Himali, so
Definitely.
many of my collaborations have been through social media. I have
Wow.
met excellent people, and good things have come out of it. So
Yeah.
I think social media can have both the sides, and it
Yes.
depends on how you address that. So if
Yep.
you are just using it for because you're bored and you're just scrolling as what's
Yep.
happening where,
Yep.
then it can be unhealthy. But as a source of information, because you may not have the
Yes.
chance to do so many things by yourself, or you may not know, but
Right.
social media through your friends and contacts can offer you some source of information as to what can happen in the world, and you can
Agreed.
connect genuinely one to one with people.
Yes.
So I think
Yes.
there's the two sides, and
Yeah.
using it maybe a little judiciously should
Yeah.
should be better and a
So,
lot more healthier in a
yeah,
way.
I would also, add in here that using social media wisely perhaps is the way to go about. And I would look at, social networks. They encourage discovery. And people laugh 30 times more when they receive those funny memes and witty hashtags through social media. So it's like a coin which has two sides, right? Priyanka, you have organized workshops in Hong Kong, Singapore, and India. Was there any difference in your approach of conducting these sessions at each place? Any difference in the way people from different countries react to the workshop teachings?
Um, yes, in different places we have that I have gone and conducted the workshop. I have
Mhm.
always had the first reaction, which is different, and so the way they approach or anything is different. However, I
Okay.
must also tell you that the subsequent reactions are pretty similar.
All right. Okay.
So this is something very interesting, that
Mhm.
the first reaction is usually based on the geographical location that you are
Yes.
in. So probably the cultural element is coming into it, and your
Right.
upbringing is coming into it, the way you
Yeah.
have been socialized, that's coming into it, or whether you trust the situation or not, that's
Hmm.
coming into it. So the first reaction, the way they approach you or they approach any kind of program, is
Hmm.
different.
Right.
And
Okay.
I'll give you an example.
Okay.
I run a program called Story of Me in collaboration with Rise of Learning, and that's a workshop for women in self development and coaching. And
Oh.
we conduct it here in
Hmm.
Singapore, but just few months ago we took it to India for the first time, to Mumbai.
Okay.
And exactly as I told you, the first reaction to the program was different. The way people approach, the way they enroll, the
Oh.
initial
Okay.
questions, they were different.
Hmm.
However, later on, when you go deeper, you realize the way people connect with each other, their joys, their sorrows,
Hmm.
the things that make them anxious, the things that the deep desire of doing something, that's pretty
Yeah.
similar,
Wow.
and in this fragmented world now that we see, people are getting divided on race,
Yes.
color, geographical location, so on and so
Yes.
forth. um, Probably people are not giving each other time to know
Yeah.
their subsequent reactions. It's just first glance and it's just first look, and you decide, okay, I'm different.
Yeah.
So probably if you give it a little more time, you realize that we are pretty similar at the core.
Yes, unfortunately, that's a truth that we are facing right now, and also that we end up judging people. In fact, I
Yeah.
came across this very interestingly funny quote, the other day, which says, "Thou shalt not judge, because thou has messed up before too," and that applies to all of us, isn't it? Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, Priyanka, what is it that keeps you going to educate yourself in different fields and to contribute to the society? You're constantly doing things, and how does that go
Mhm.
about?
Um, I think it's more out of curiosity.
Hmm.
So I am curious person, I guess. So, but Himali, it's funny that when I was in school, I was not that motivated. I was an average student,
Really?
but it's only, yeah, it is true. And it's only
Okay.
after I went to university
Hmm.
that I started getting a little more interested. And the
Okay.
last few years that I have gone back to the university and to studying, I'm
Hmm.
just, I'm just, so happy to be learning, and I just want to know more. So I think there has been a kind of growth, and my curiosity has probably increased with age or whatever. So, but I enjoy learning more, and so I think I'm just learning more.
Right, and perhaps you're successful in your workshops and all because you happily learn what you take up and are willing to work hard for it. I would put it that way.
Uh,
And
yeah, but
yes.
Himali, sorry, I just want to point out that
Mhm.
learning is not just at the university and from the lecturers. It's
Right.
also from your peers, from the
Sure.
people you meet, from your
Yes.
students, from your friends, from everybody.
I agree.
You feel like absorbing something, like something from you I would love to absorb, and something from the people around me, and I'm constantly observing and absorbing, so that
Right.
that learning never really stops.
So observing and absorbing. Wow, nice. And
Hmm.
Prionka also believes that every individual in this world has a unique contribution to make. And we need to realize it and stretch out and reach as many people as we can. I remember talking to you about the novel you authored, Sia. How did the book do? Is there a sequel coming up?
Actually, the book did better than I thought.
Okay.
So I wrote it like 9 to 10 years ago, and at that time I did not plan anything. I had a story to tell, and I had mentioned this before that it was for my father. I wanted to have the story out for him, which I did, but I didn't
Mhm.
have a plan as to how to go about it or how I should be doing it. So
Mhm.
I just put it out there. However, it did well. It went into second edition, and Himali actually received a lot of emails from people I don't know, saying that
Congratulations.
they thank you, that they enjoyed the book, and not just that, it had some kind of a positive impact on them, that they could relate
Wonderful.
to it at some in some ways, and I did not expect that. And
Oh,
that kind of made me realize that what we do and what we say, even if we don't really realize it, it may
yes.
impact someone, or it may affect someone, and that's a very powerful thought to have, that every action will have some consequence on someone, so to think and do what you are doing.
Yes, yes, indeed. And in fact, I read the book Sia, and you have a gripping style of writing, and the story left me, moist-eyed. Your narrative style got me hooked to keep on turning the pages to know what is going to, come ahead. And many
Thank you,
of
Himali.
those who have read the book, are waiting to read another one, from you.
Hmm.
So I hope you're going to say that yes, you are, the next sequel is coming in.
Okay, okay. So, about a sequel, I didn't really write a book, but I named my company sequel, so that happened. However, let's see if another book comes out. I am writing, I am writing, but it's not that I haven't really written a book as yet again.
That's very interesting. But Priyonka, you said you started a company called Sequel. What can you tell us a little more about Sequel?
So it's just basically into training and into communication. So things that I do, I just put it under an umbrella. So I take on a communication project and I take writing services as well as the mentoring that I do, and the workshop, the self-development or workshops. So that's all coming under Sequel.
All right, wonderful. And wishing you the best for Sequel to do very well. As a writer, did you have the fear of rejection? And what was the most interesting and the most challenging part as a writer?
So the fear was actually quite massive.
It was?
It's a horrible fear. Yes. People who know me since childhood would be able to say that I was a very, very shy kid. And over time, of course, it got better because I put some work in it, and also because maybe I hide it to an extent. But I am generally a very shy and insecure person. So putting something that's so close to you, putting it out there for people to see makes you feel very vulnerable.
Right.
And that's exactly what I felt. So it's not really a fear of rejection as such, but it's a fear of being judged. And especially by people who know you and people who matter to you, because those who don't know you, somehow that's very distant and it never really bothered me. But those who know me and I really care about them, I do not want them to judge me negatively. So this fear is always there, and this fear remains whether I'm writing a book, whether I write any other thing. Now I write a lot of things, and a lot of the times I do not really tell anyone that I've written that, because it's going out into the world, people are reading it. Those I don't know, that's fine, but those I know, I generally just don't say.
But Prionka, I have read your blogs, and your blogs are very interesting too. And at the end of the show, would you share where people can read your blogs?
Yeah, sure. Maybe we can add it in the description.
Definitely. All right, sure. And how about sharing a rewarding moment to at any juncture in your it could be in your being a concept creator, or even while you were writing your book, a rewarding moment, or when the book was published?
I think the rewarding moment is basically just finishing something that you start, and at the beginning it feels like there's like this confusion, there's chaos, a lot of different ideas, and you feel, I don't know how this is going to all work out together. And at the end, when you see it did, it's very rewarding in every field that I work in. And sometimes when people write into you, people you know, or even if you don't know, either thanking you or saying that anything positive, any kind of a validation is always nice. Sure. If I have to specifically talk about one moment which was quite pivotal because it started on the journey of my changing path to psychology, was long back when I was teaching speech and drama. There was this girl who came into my class. She was around 7 years old, and her parents told me that she doesn't speak. She only speaks at home, so she has selective mutism, and she wouldn't speak even in her primary school. Nobody had ever heard her speak. But I felt, that puts a lot of pressure on the child, that people are just expecting her to say, and she clamps up. So I never allowed that pressure to come to her, and I would talk to her, and I would just assume that she's answering and go ahead with it without putting her into a corner. And somehow that tactic worked, or that she connected with me, whatever it is. Eventually she started speaking to me.
Oh, she did?
Yes, she did. And she wouldn't really speak to anybody else, but she would come to me and slowly start speaking to me. And I treated that as normal. I did not make a lot of hoo-ha about it. And then after a while, there was like, she just talking normally, and the parents were quite amazed. And yeah, it was such a rewarding moment.
Fantastic.
Yes, it is, because it was so visible. I have had little moments with, these abuse teens that I mentor, and there's little shift here and there, or sometimes it's disappointment, whatever it is. But this one was so visible and so instantaneous that it really made a lot of difference. And probably she was one reason where I realized that, the tools that I was talking about that could help people come up. So I think that was one of the very special moments for me.
Very well done, Prionka. In fact, this is I should say congratulations to you on this achievement. And in your perspective, do you think you have achieved success? If you don't mind, can you quote success in your own words and leave a message for my viewers?
Mm. I think just to say I have achieved success in a way feels like, very arrogant in a way,
Okay.
Having said that, I think success in little things and, the little feeling of satisfaction is nice. My whole definition of success has evolved over the years. It keeps changing. So the first time that I thought of success, I was, I think, around 5 or 6 years old.
Oh,
and
right.
we had a rickshawala who used to, take in his rickshaw all these kids to the school. And his name was Khilawan. I still remember. And to me at that time, Khilawan, the rickshawala, was success because he had his own rickshaw.
Wow.
He was strong because he could pull us all, and he used to sing while he was very happy. So to
Beautiful.
me, this whole idea of someone enjoying their work and feeling happy and strong and having your own thing felt like success. So even if I have changed my idea of success, I think I've come back to this initial idea. So right now I feel that if I'm able to give my all to any task, be it small or big, if I enjoy the process, and like Khilawan, I'm like so happy about it and singing. And if at the end it adds value to something or someone or even to me, I think it's a kind of success. So I'm okay with it.
Wonderful. That's such a beautiful story you told us about the rickshawala, and indeed, I mean, that is success, that he could manage all that. So basically, it's all in our minds, what we understand success as. Prionka,
Yeah,
thank you.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prionka, for the insights you've provided us with. You are an inspiration to all those people who have had the pleasure of meeting you, as well as listening to you. She says that it is important to express yourself, especially your fears, and learn how to turn those fears into victories. You've been very kind, Prionka, to give us your precious time. Thank you so very much for being with us on In Conversation with Hemali.
Thank you so much, Hemali, for having me. And I really enjoyed being here with you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Glad to know
and
that.
It's nice. Thank you.
Thank you. My viewers, if you have an inspiring story or if you know of someone who has an inspiring story of success to share, please write in to me on my email ID, and I'll connect with you and try bringing out that story in Conversation with Hemali. My email ID is in the description, along with the Prionka's. In case you want to get in touch with Prionka, her email ID also will be in the description. Till then, keep smiling and take that extra step to achieve your dreams. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel In Conversation with Hemali. Thank you very much, Prionka, for being with us, and have a great day.
Thank you, Hemali. You too.